Does the channel provide value?
Focus on the foundation.
I am a travel vlogger.
It's always about communication.
Build those partnerships.
What are the problems that you solve for your clients?
Just being ahead on the technological side of things.
Leading an organization.
You not only want to survive, but you want to thrive. They said it wouldn't last, and they said that you can't drive profitable and incremental revenue through the affiliate channel. But here we are, 20 years later, and the affiliate channel is alive and kicking and generating profitable revenue for thousands of retailers across the globe. Hi, I am Jamie Birch, your host of the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast, where we talk to some of the industry's best and brightest about their careers, about leadership, and about how to drive profitable revenue through the affiliate channel. Welcome to the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast. I am Jamie Birch, your host today and always. And also, I'm the CEO and founder of the award-winning affiliate marketing agency, JEBCommerce. So today, we have a great guest, a longtime friend, Wade Tonkin, the Director of Global Affiliate Marketing for Fanatics. So before I introduce the episode, want to let you know, you may be planning right now for the rest of the year. Maybe you're even looking forward to Q4 and you're planning your digital marketing acquisition, and affiliates may be in that plan, and they should be. And you're wondering how to get the biggest bang for your buck and the biggest ROI. Well, JEBCommerce is here to help you do that. And you can go to JEBCommerce.com and learn all about our affiliate management services. And you can also contact us and set up some time to discuss your needs. You can also email us at gethelp@jebcommerce.com. And at the end of the show, I'll give you a way you can set up a meeting with me and I can help you with whatever you need. But today, I actually want to introduce the newsletter to you. You can go to jebcommerce.com/LP/newsletter-signup.com, and I will include that in the show notes, and sign up for our monthly newsletter, where in that newsletter, we share new clients that we're working with, podcast episodes like the one you're listening to right now, as well as other industry news and agency news and tips and tricks and new content that we develop. So head over there and sign up for our newsletter. Now, today, Wade and I talk about, we really do a deep dive in affiliate marketing. Wade has been in this industry for longer than I have. I've been doing this for 20 years. Wade's been doing it just a little bit longer. And we talk about recruiting affiliates, communicating with affiliates, and how to manage an affiliate program during hot market events. So really acute and finite events, things like the Super Bowl and things like that. So we talk about how to manage a team and your affiliates during that, and how to increase your ROI. So definitely, I'll get out of the way so you can enjoy and listen to my conversation with Wade Tonkin. All right, Wade Tonkin, thank you for joining me on the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast today.
It's a pleasure, man. It's always good to chat with you. And we've never podcasted together, so first time for everything.
No, we've watched Seahawks playoff games. We've actually, that's some of the most exciting stuff that we've done together. I think of the Green Bay game at Affiliate Summit.
Yep, that was a whole other adventure, man. I don't think we've ever put people in a more interesting situation for business meetings than to have to watch a Seahawks playoff game with Joe and I and conduct the meeting during that, complete with shots. So yeah, I
still don't know how you did that and got any business done. I was on the phone with my wife the whole time. Yeah, it was amazing. What a game! But we've known each other for a super long time, all the way back to your is it Cowabunga days? I think is when we first met way back then.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Was it the Affiliate Force Cruises or shortly after that?
It was after that. I didn't go in the Affiliate Force Cruise. My boss heard about that before I did. And I heard her laughing throughout the building as she handed me the printout and said, "There is no effing way I'm sending you on a booze cruise," and handed it and walked away. And I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Because what could possibly go wrong? Right?
No, but I was not too eager to be trapped on a boat. To be honest with you, I'm not big on that sort of thing. So yeah, I wasn't going to push anyway. But yeah, so we had to meet after the Affiliate Force. Man, that goes way back. That's
It's like 2001, 2002, I think it was the ones that I went on. But yeah, it definitely goes back. And the cool thing is there's still people that I connect with all the time that are people that I met on that. So years later, we're all still around.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. How many? I would say there's a ton of people still either still affiliates that we both work with, still affiliate managers, or they've moved on to bigger and greater things within the industry. Um, so you don't see that. I mean, that really was the beginning of the affiliate marketing space.
Yeah, a lot of people that have built companies and sold companies and built other companies and sold them. So it definitely had an interesting group of people that I ran into there, and some of them are still pretty much family. So it's a really cool industry.
Definitely. And, during that time, the one thing like I gotta say is your physical transformation and what you've gone through the last five or couple of years, I don't remember exactly how long, has been incredibly inspiring. Talk to me about that. What the change is pretty radical. And what was the catalyst?
The catalyst is actually kind of interesting. I was actually just talking with Jim Kukral about kind of similar stuff a few minutes ago, kind of mutual friend of ours. But um, I had gotten really big, and by really big, I'm talking like I think 360 is about the highest weight that I can kind of remember. And I like look back at pictures on Facebook, every day when they pop up with your memories, and I'm just blown away.
Yeah.
But we're down in Florida now. We've been down here for 10 plus years, and my family and I had just picked up season passes to Universal, and we went down to Universal Studios, and I started, I was trying to go on all these killer rides they've got, all the Harry Potter roller coasters and stuff like that, and the Hulk, and just amazing attractions down there. And every one of them I was too big to ride on.
Oh,
And I
wow.
had one that I could ride on, which is the Mummy, which is a pretty cool coaster. But I went to ride that with my kids, and I couldn't ride that, and I just got freaking pissed. And it was funny because I ran into my wife, and she was waiting for us in the gift shop at the end of the ride or the arcade, and she's like, "I have never seen you look so upset about something." And it was like almost 20 years that we'd been married at that point, and so she was like,
Yeah.
I've never seen you so pissed." And the thing is, I wasn't mad at them. I'm
Yeah.
not mad at Universal for having rides that won't handle a 360-pound man. And so I was just like, I've got to do something about this, because I mean, not only can I not ride on these rides, but I mean, if I want to be around for my kids, I've got to get
Mhm.
healthier, and I've got to take some steps to do that. And one of the other one of the other things that kind of started the process was emceeing an affiliate summit in Philly, and that's the first time I actually had, like, I think a really pretty marked weight loss. Sean and Missy had asked me if I would MC at Affiliate Summit East in Philly, and I put a challenge out there to myself that I wanted to lose 30 pounds before I did that, because I was like looking at my pictures from the past Affiliate Summits, going, "Damn, I'm pretty big there, man. I don't look good." And figuring if I was going to be emceeing the show, I want to be a little happier with my appearance and just
Yeah.
fitness
Yeah.
overall. So I went ahead and said, "Hey, I'm going to lose 30 pounds." That's also when I started running, because a couple weeks after I started this challenge and I was doing Weight Watchers and dropping the weight and everything, I'd come across the Couch to 5K training program. So I signed up to run my first 5K, which I did in July of, God, it's like 2013, 2014, something like that, and ended up going through that and training and running my first 5K. But now I've progressed from there. But I actually had gotten to a low
Yeah.
point of
You're a
about,
running animal right
yeah,
now.
I'd gotten to a low point of about 243 back, I think, about 5 months into the lockdown, and I was working out like a fiend and taking advantage of all the extra time that I wasn't spending driving to work at Fanatics, because everybody's working from home, to
Yeah. Yeah.
hit the gym and run and stuff. And so I got down to about 243, and then about 6 months in, I discovered the Jacksonville Bourbon and Whiskey Society, and I found a few of those pounds, but now I'm kind of back trying to get things going in the right direction again. But it's been an adventure for sure.
Man, that's amazing. I know, right? I think right after you hosted, I had an experience because I got up to my biggest weight ever, and I wasn't happy. And I went to get actually, it was before I went to get a jacket fitted, buy a jacket and get it tailored for a cocktail event we were having at that summit. And while I was there, the tailor teased me about how fat I was. she wouldn't let it go. And then I shortly thereafter got some medical issues with my liver, and it was like, I got to do something. And then I saw your Couch to 5K, and I asked you, like, how did you do this? And that Couch to 5K really helped me too, and got me on that. Now, when you hit these, like you found the Bourbon Club, like, how do you get back on track, man? How do you catch yourself?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it's like you start like looking at pictures and going, man, I'm starting to kind of sneak up again. And I had gotten rid of all my bigger clothes, and so when the smaller stuff, because I went from like a 3X down to an extra large, and I've actually got a couple of things now where I actually fit in a large, which I haven't done since
Outstanding.
high school. And it's really funny
Wow.
now that I'm like faster now at 255 pounds than I was when I graduated high school at 199 or 195, because I actually train
Wow.
now. And in high school, I played tennis and golf and stuff like that, but I never actually ran. Yeah, because I had pretty bad exercise induced asthma, and so I couldn't run any kind of like extended periods of time. And since I got into the running, I think it's actually gotten a lot better to where I don't use my inhaler all that much anymore for my asthma. It's still there, but it doesn't bother my running all that much. And I'm doing
Wow.
crazy stuff now. I'm running like half marathons, and trail running is my thing right now. I've kind of gotten out of road running because it honestly, it just bores me. The idea of like running on
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
road, the same road that I run all the time is pretty dull. And I love running in the woods, and being a Northwest kid, I miss
Yep.
mountains. And so I finally found, some hillier trails down here. I started running races up in North Georgia where you're getting into the Appalachians and Blue Ridge Mountains where, they got some pretty
Yep.
nasty hills up there. And it's just mind blowing. And it's so much fun to kind of challenge yourself with that stuff. And I did one in November that had about 3,500 feet of vertical on a 14-mile race. I was the biggest
Wow.
guy on the mountain still, by a long shot at like 250 pounds. But I got to the finish and I ran into the race director and he was like, "Man, that's pretty impressive for a dude your size, because I finished 55th out of 124."
Wow.
And so I was pretty stoked. And I was like, the funny thing is, like, I got up this morning and the weather was like 41 degrees and rainy, and I was like, man, I'm thinking this is my jam. I can do this. This is Washington weather, man. I can hang.
Oh yeah, you feel like you're back
Yeah,
home.
I'm back home, and I'm like, I was worried about you skinny bastards. What are you guys gonna do? You're gonna be wearing parkas up there, and But yeah, it's fun. And so now it's just kind of how can I challenge myself, and how can I keep kind of up in the bets on what I can push my body to do. And it's cool that it keeps responding in a positive fashion for the most part.
Yeah, that is super impressive. I know the running thing I started to get into, and to be honest, I just couldn't hang. And I think you invited me running at one affiliate summit. I'm like, no way, man. We're gonna start together, and then I'll see you later in the day. How did you like? Did you find aches and pains, injuries when you started?
Oh yeah, definitely. And when I first started on the couch to 5K, it was kind of funny because I couldn't run like 200 yards, let alone 2 miles or 3 miles.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you start that program, and if anybody's ever thinking about doing that and you're like coming from a place of being pretty profoundly out of shape, don't look ahead. Do yourself a favor and do not skip
Oh.
ahead and look at future days, because I was a couple weeks in, I was starting to feel pretty good about myself, and then I looked ahead to like week 7 or something, and it was like, yeah, now run 20 minutes. I was like, what the hell? What? No,
I
no.
can't do
It's
that.
like this sounds hard now. So it's like you just gotta let the program play out, and it's pretty amazing that it'll get pretty much anybody there, and you might not be fast. You probably won't be fast, but you'll finish, and that's really what matters. And I've had plenty of races where I finished. I think the first half marathon I ever ran, I was second to last, and I was like bound and determined that I was gonna get. I wasn't gonna be last. I wasn't gonna have the cop cars escorting me in.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it was pretty mind blowing because we've got a pretty good running club around where I live, and a bunch of people from my club stuck around and waited for me at the finish because they knew it was my
Oh,
first.
that's
And
cool.
I was like cramping up in both my legs and stuff. I was just having a miserable time, and my run buddy Mike came out and met me and kind of got me in the last mile, pretty much 100 yards at a time. But yeah, it's one thing I really loved about getting into running is runners, because they're just, it's a great community that's super supportive. And I had people that encouraged me. And so now when I go to races, I try to stick around and encourage people that are finishing, or go out and help run people in, because it's just it can be such a great pickup for somebody that's just getting started and is having a rough time, to have somebody come along and help them out, running them in when they're not sure they can. So it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
such an awesome thing. I know we have the Ironman here in Coeur d'Alene, and my favorite time to go watch is the last 2 hours before the race cutoff. And you see the people who have been out there all day and are just struggling to get across the finish line, and as they turn at the end of the main road coming through town, and then you can hear just the I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but the fans who are still there and the families who are running in with them, and everyone's just, you see them pick up an extra, they drop a minute or two a mile on their pace just with that extra assist. It's pretty powerful to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal, and it's been a lot of fun to be able to be a part of that for some people, and it's been great to have people be a part of that for me, because it does definitely help when you're dragging and you get somebody, you get some people cheering you on. And I kind of started to notice that on running Disney races, because Disney does half
Yeah.
marathons and stuff like that, and they have people cheering. And I'm a part of a running team down there for WW Radio. It's one of the big Disney blogs out there, and they raise money for Make-A-Wish. And it was funny because we had a meetup before the last Wine and Dine half marathon, where I distinctly remember the wife of the podcaster saying, "Hey, Lou is going to be at the boardwalk and he's going to have tacos." And so I was thinking, well, damn, 11 miles in, a freaking taco would be pretty killer. I mean, yeah, that'd pick up my spirits. So I get there and the whole team is, there's like a team of people that are cheering all the runners on. And I come up to Lou, I'm like, your wife said there'd be tacos, man. I don't see any tacos. What the heck? And he's like, I'm at a loss here. I'm like, well, we better find some tacos. I mean, because that's what was in my head. I mean, I started to drag,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's in my head. I'm like, hey, I got tacos at the boardwalk, and the last mile will be a breeze. And so I think next time I go down there to cheer for people, I'm gonna have to make sure I get some tacos.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm following your journey on Facebook and the conversations we had. Your impact on yourself is huge, but on other people is enormous as well. I know when I'm struggling to go hit the gym or do my workouts, inevitably, as I'm scrolling through Facebook at 5 a.m., going, I don't want to get out of this bed. I want to go back to sleep. There's a damn memory that you're posted of your transformation with a check-in at Orange Theory or something. I'm like, damn it, I gotta go. So it's inspiring, man, and keep it up. You're impacting a lot of people with your story.
Oh, thanks. I mean, accountability is huge, and I've got people that do the same thing with me. To where when I'm thinking about blowing a workout off, I jump on, I'll look at my social stream and be like, oh man, they're after it. I can't, I can't bail. I got to get my ass up. I got to go. So it helps to have people in your life to keep you accountable, one way or the other.
Definitely. So let's talk about your affiliate marketing career. You started in sales in 1997. Tell us about that first foray, and then how did you find affiliate marketing?
Yeah, I started off working for a software company down in the Kirkland Bothell area on the east side of Seattle called Seattle Lab. And I was actually managing a Domino's pizza in Bellingham at the time. And one of my buddies, whose band I
Oh, wow.
managed, was the webmaster for this software company. And he called me up one day. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. I think I'd closed. I'd been up until like 3 o'clock in the morning the night before. And he's like, hey, I'm working at this software company. They've got a job down here that I think you'll be good for. And I think it was a tech support job at the time, which if you know me at all, I'm not technical in any way. And they also had a guerrilla marketer position where they were doing just like soliciting backlinks for their software products. And so I interviewed for the tech support job and I bombed miserably. The guy was like throwing all these different protocol acronyms at me and I was just like deer in the headlights. And after he asked like 3 or 4, I was like, we can both see this isn't happening. So I think I'm going to have to take my chance with the other, with the guerrilla marketing position. But my buddy had figured, hey, if this guy can get us gigs in Seattle during the whole, growth of the grunge era, he can probably do some, some guerrilla marketing stuff. And so I got the job there doing that. And so I was doing backlink soliciting for a while and doing pretty well with it. And then started doing some sales there. and started bumped that up into channel management. So I was running the reseller channel. And then a friend of mine from back in Mount Vernon, his dad had a gardening site called eterra.com, and they were kind of doing a lot of what Fanatics does now, where they're running stores for other people that are selling gardening products. So garden centers could kind of expand their offerings from what they had in their brick and mortar. And he was hiring all his buddies that were working down in Seattle at tech companies. And so he called me up and said, hey, we need somebody to be the affiliate manager. I was like, okay, what's that? He's like, well, figure it out, pick a vendor and launch a program. I was like, all right. So I did that, and it started on
That
Linkshare.
seemed to happen a lot in
Yeah,
that time, because that's exactly how I got it too. Hey, go do this thing. What is
yeah,
it? I don't know.
yeah, figure it out. Yeah, and the funny thing is, I still don't know anybody that ever set out to be an affiliate or an affiliate manager. It's just kind of something that you fall into. And so I did that. Got to choose between CJ and Linkshare at the time. Be Free was still out there, but that seemed kind of, it seemed kind of wonky. So started on Linkshare, and then about a year and a half later, I realized that we weren't paying my vendors and we weren't paying my affiliates, and so the company we burned through an inordinate amount of investor money, and
Wow.
so I got laid off from there. I started doing a little bit of consulting on my own, working with some local companies, and then I bumped into Linda Woods, the affiliate goddess,
Oh
who
yeah.
was pitching something to Todd Farmer from Cowabunga, which was actually I think one of the first couple outsourced management agencies. I know that like Jim Gribble, Think Profits was out there before we were, but Linda and I kind of put together Team Affiliate at Cowabunga, and that's when the whole affiliate force thing came up, and I wanted to do this because it sounded really cool. I wanted to go to Force, and help sell the thing, but I was like laid off, man. I had no cash. I was
Yeah.
freaking busted. And so I told Todd Farmer, it's like, look, if you get me there, I'll sell the deals. Just get me down there and I'll make this work. And I think I closed like 6 or 7 deals on that cruise.
Oh wow.
And it was one of those things where everything just kind of fell together. And I still love a lot of the people that I was working with there, because Todd and Todd Farmer and Teresa and Rachel Hanaway, Kukral
Yeah.
and Jonathan Miller and all these guys I still just love to death. But we had something really cool going on, and we had it was kind of a young up and coming company. It was kind of share sale before share sale was share sale,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was just a blast. And so I was there for 5 years doing that, um, working for Cowabunga, and did some affiliate management, did some sales, and just kind of got on that, and then worked for Forge, worked for Jonathan out of South
Yeah.
Africa for a while, and got a chance to do some travel that was pretty fun. Going to South Africa for an interview was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
I bet.
a couple of weeks later, after I got back, he's like, "Yeah, I was getting ready to book my flight to AdTech in London. Then I realized I just hired a director of sales. So why the hell am I doing that?" He's like, "You got a passport? Get to London, okay?"
Get out of here.
But yeah, so it's been kind of a crazy adventure, and I've been able to meet a lot of amazing people and go to a lot of cool places.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we managed, I think, Hilton on Cowabunga
Yeah,
for a long time, and worked with you guys there extensively in the early days. Now, since that, you've been in house currently. You've been at an agency, and you've been at a network. What were some of the most pivotal job changes? And when you're evaluating those, how did you evaluate the move to Forge and the move to like GTO and
right.
things like that? What was your process?
Yeah, Forge was interesting because at the time, Cowabunga was getting to the point where they were like competing really hot and heavy with Direct Track, and Direct Track was iterating constantly on product. And I was starting to get killed on sales calls because like just
Mm,
the feature list wasn't stacking up and we weren't really releasing anything. So I was starting to get kind of disgruntled. And as a sales guy, you can't really be frustrated with product.
it
That's
makes
not
it
a
hard to
it's not a
sell.
good place to be in when you're just feeling tough about where the product is at. And
Yeah.
so at that point, Jonathan Miller called me up and said, "Hey, you happy doing what you're doing?" I was like, I'm open minded. And so he's like, "Yeah, jump on a flight, come down and talk to me." I was like, "Jump?" You're still in Johannesburg, right? And he's like, yeah. And so he booked the flight, and I was down. I went down and talked to him, hung out with his team, and got started doing that. Did that for a while. Things were a little slow taking off. Didn't have it was tough getting people sold in North America to have a company doing their stuff that wasn't local and that was working on a pretty different schedule. And it's funny because Jonathan's still one of my best friends in the world, but he fired me. Um, and there was a rough stretch there for a bit, but it just didn't work, and sometimes things that look like really good ideas just don't work. And so I'd run into some guys that were starting up a new network that was kind of a faith-based network project that looked really interesting, and which is funny because they were running on DirectTrack. So I got to experience the joys of DirectTrack at that point. Help them get that off the ground, and that kind of ran out of money. And during the course of all that, I ran into Joel and Karen Garcia at an event we put together, kind of a faith-based marketers event at Affiliate Summit. And we hit it off, and Karen was looking to do something different from partner centric, and I was looking to do something different. So we got something together, and it was kind of funny because we went to Affiliate Summit with Joel and I, formally announced as GTO, and having to sell the deals to get Karen sprung from partner centric. And I actually ended up getting sick as a dog at that show. I think I got food poisoning or something. And I think I ventured out of my room at the Palms. Or actually, not the Palms, the Rio. I think I ventured out of my room, like, other than the meat market, maybe 4 times for 4 sales meetings, and I closed all of them.
That's a good conversion rate right there.
And I was like in my room. I mean, I actually contemplated going to the ER at like 3:00 in the morning. I made a call down to the concierge to get like 3 bottles of Gatorade and some Imodium or something, because I thought I was just gonna die of dehydration. And we were able to kick things off there, and had a fun run with them. Then a few years later, the Fanatics opportunity came around, and Fanatics was interesting because we had a couple guys that we knew, and Jason Rybaki, that was manager here at Fanatics for a while, and then he went to ShareASale. And when he left, he got John Nunez to come in and take over at Fanatics. And John was the late great John Nunez had was running Fanatics. He was still doing his agency thing with his brother. And he kind of wanted to get out of that, so he went back to doing the agency thing. And he had hired an assistant, and Rybaki had come to me like a year before and said, hey, I think I'm getting ready to leave this gig, I think you should check this out. And at the time I was like, I was pretty stoked doing what I was doing, and so I just kind of blew it off. And he came back a little bit later and it's like, I really think you should take a look at this. And so I came down, interviewed, and got hired. And this is like one of the areas of my life that I'm not super, super proud of, because, I left in a bad way with partners that, once again, it's like we have all these people that we work with that are just like, that are friends and family, essentially,
And those two specifically are fantastic.
And the funny thing is I'm working with them again now, but so I ended up kind of leaving at a really bad time, and leaving in Q4. I started here on November 27th, I think, in 2010. And so I'm like moving across the country, driving across the country with my dad to start at Fanatics on November 27th or 24th. It's like right around like the week before Black Friday. And everybody's wondering why the hell I'm doing this road trip, because I hadn't really told anybody what the deal was. And then I get down here, and I report to my VP on the first day of the job. I'm like, okay, what do we got going on for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? He's like, nothing. He's like, we don't really work with coupon sites. I'm like,
which is days away.
Yeah, which is days away. And it's like, I'm like, what the hell, man? I mean, it's like, what was the urgency to this thing? I mean, I could have like wound things down a lot better, and just kind of been able to take a little bit more time to get my my family move figured out, because I mean, you're talking about moving a couple of relatively young kids across the country away from their grandparents, because we had both sets of grandparents 10 minutes away. And so it was a big move, and and it wasn't the smoothest thing, and there was definitely some hurt feelings and some business stuff that didn't go well. But in the end, a couple years later, we were able to get things right, and Joel and Karen got together with Angel Jambazov and got Lab 6 going, and now we work with Lab 6. They run our esports programs for us, and because I knew that there was nobody better in the space doing gaming stuff than those guys, and I love what they have going on. It's like this perfect combination of people that I just love. So everything
Yeah,
comes around, man.
who doesn't love those three
Yeah,
individuals? They're some of my, not only my favorite people in the space, but some of my favorite people.
yeah.
That had to be real hard to leave friends and to make that decision. I can't imagine how difficult that conversation was.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't handle it well, and there was definitely hard feelings, and there was definitely some late nights at share cell think tanks where we had to iron some stuff out, and
Yeah.
but like I said, in the end, I've got so much respect for those people that when I got a chance to find a way to work with them again, I was more than happy to do it, because just there's no better people that I know, especially
Yeah.
just period, but let alone, in the business, and, in working in that particular area of the business, there's nobody, geekier and into the game stuff than those guys, and they're amazing. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to work with them again.
Yeah. So what was that first week like, getting there and Black Friday is days away and nothing planned?
Kind of anticlimactic. I mean, because we've been, running retail programs for a while, and that's crazy times. And granted, you usually, if you're doing things right, you've got your peak placements lined up well in
Yeah.
advance. But it was definitely a little weird, because I had to adjust to this new company and kind of figure out what was going on. And I had a guy that was working here that was essentially hired to be John's assistant. That I come in and I'm like, so is this guy reporting to me? And my boss is like, actually, I'd like to, you guys to consider, look at you guys as like equals. I'm like, it's not even close, dude. He somebody that's like been hired to be an assistant 3 months ago. Then the guy left a month after he hired him. And I've been, at that point, I think I've been doing this for, probably,
A
it's been
decade?
10 years now. So yeah, it's been a decade. And, they're shelling out to pretty decent bucks on me. And I'm like, so I got this like 2 years out of college kid that's an equal now. Really? Okay, whatever. But, yeah, but we
And
took
you
took
can't
him.
have two people leading the same thing.
No, yeah, and so it's like there's got to be some kind of a pecking order on things, and which it's interesting now with Joe and I here, and that got two people that have been around forever, and it's just
Yeah.
finding where everybody fits and finding everybody's skill sets and what makes them go. And I think that, to me, is kind of one of the more fun parts of running teams, and is kind of figuring out what everybody's good with, and where everybody's passions are, and what fulfills them, and trying to put people in position to take advantage of their talents and what they're into.
Yeah, and that one of the biggest changes from the first day, is now you have a team, and how to manage and lead a team.
Yeah, definitely, and it's so night and day different. And we were taking a look at this, back during November, December, and on the Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, we did as much business at Fanatics, like across our network of sites in the affiliate channel this year, in that like 4 day period, as we did
Yeah.
the entire first year that I was here. And
So that's pretty good growth.
I called it out in a meeting, and everybody was blown away. But I was like, this is like this is the coolest factoid ever to share at a meeting. Is that, like, we did the same amount of sales in 4 days that we did in the first year that I was here. But that was also, it was like a night and day difference. I mean, it was like Fanatics and a couple other smaller brands, and now we've got, we're global. We've got Fanatics. We got all the league stores and everything. We got Lids that that's in the family. So I mean, I've got 3 people reporting to me in the U.S. We've got a couple people in the U.K. And it's a cool team. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely more fun, doing things like working Super Bowls and stuff like that, when you've got this a full team that everybody knows their stuff, and knows what their role is, and it's a lot of fun to be able to kind of watch everybody execute. And when it used to be this mad scramble, with like one person and three or four brands trying to get all these links live. And
Yeah.
when I got to hire my first assistant, like the year after I started here, it was really funny, because I had, we've always prided ourselves at Fanatics, like on Super Bowls and World Series and all these big hot market events, we call them, that our links are live and ready to use as soon as humanly possible after the game goes final, because it's really pretty mind blowing the amount of sales that get done right after a game
Right
goes
away.
final. And so, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
time is literally money. And so we had, we always try to have things up and running within a couple minutes, and definitely in time for the NFL Shop commercial to come on TV after the game, which gives you like 5 minutes or something like that. But
A whole five
yeah,
minutes. I mean, that's all day.
yeah, and I had hired my first assistant. She was all up to speed and everything, and so I get on our Facebook group for our affiliates, and I'm like, okay, guys, I want the over under on how long it'll take us to get this stuff all live, and one of the guys was like 20 minutes. I'm like, who the actual hell do you think you're dealing with here, dude? It was never that slow when I was by myself. I mean, come on. Like, I've got an assistant now.
Was that an affiliate?
And I was like,
Was that?
are you new? I'm like, come on, man. It's never been worse than like 6 minutes in the past. And why am I going to take this drop off now? But I think we got done in like 3 minutes or 2 or 3 minutes. So that's always kind of what we
Man,
shoot for. Yeah.
I got so many questions. So I want to go back to the managing a team and how that's
Right.
different. But one of the huge differences with your program is you have to coordinate your team. You have to coordinate with affiliates. You get all that stuff ready sometimes at 9 o'clock Eastern or even later, depending on
I
when
wish it
like
was
a
9 o'clock
championship
Eastern.
game is. Yeah, it's
It's never
sometimes
nine
like
o'clock
midnight,
Eastern.
right?
Yeah. It's pretty much
So
always. Yeah.
tell me what that's like to coordinate, because you can't wait a day for an affiliate to get. I know when the Seahawks won the championship, I had my entire family outfitted with championship gear, 20 minutes, and that included a lot of shopping and a lot of arguments over how much I was going to spend. So how do you coordinate all that on these major, huge spike events?
Yeah, and it's funny because at Fanatics, I mean, over the years, we've just kind of we came up with this whole like hot market concept by accident, and this happened back when like the Florida Gators won their first national championship with Tim Tebow, and the VP who hired me, and the I think it was the chief operating officer at the time. I mean, this is when everything was running out of the back of a mall store, and they were trying to decide if they wanted to wait to post the links until the next day, or if they could just put all the new product up and everything and then go out and have drinks and celebrate, because they're both Florida Gators. And so
Yeah.
they went ahead and pushed everything live so they could go out and have drinks, and then they came back the next morning and they're like, man, we need to get some help because people kind of are into this whole thing of buying the
Oh yeah.
championship product the night of. And one of the first things that I did when I got hired here is like the New York Giants won the Super Bowl, and we were working with one of the big newspapers in New York as an affiliate. And this is one of the things that we've been big on for a long time, is working with media partners. And I think it's starting to happen a lot more around affiliate marketing in general. But we've been pretty
Yeah.
lucky to be able to do it for a long time. But we were working with one of the big newspapers in New York, and they had all their creative lined up. They were ready to go. They said everything was good to go. I said, okay, cool. You got my cell phone number. If you have any problems, I'll be up till like 3 o'clock in the morning. Give me a call. I'll help you out. Didn't hear anything. Get to work the next day, and my VP is like, yeah, so that New York media partner, haven't seen anything from them. What the heck's going on?
Oh man.
And so I call these guys up. I'm like, guys, what the heck? I mean, this is a big opportunity. I mean, what's going on? They said, oh, we had some questions. I'm like, which is why you had my phone number and the instructions to call me until 3 o'clock in the morning. What's going on? He's like, well, I'm a big Giants fan, and when I had left somebody else to do this, I went out and had some drinks. I'm like, well, I hope they were good drinks, because you cost yourself about 10 grand. And he's like,
Oh man.
whoa, what? I'm like, yeah, hope they were good drinks, dude. Because
Oh man.
and we found that there's a huge percentage that comes in the first 12 hours after a game. And so, what preparing for those things looks like for us is, making sure that we know who the key players are. A lot of those guys are going to get, creative in advance. We get on the phone with them and get them kind of a playbook for how things should look, kind of, minute by minute, in terms of, what do I do for the first couple days after, if my team wins. And then we're available for them to help them out if they need anything. And having Joe move out to the West Coast has been fantastic, because now we've got somebody who's 3 hours 3 hours earlier,
Yes.
which is fantastic, because it means less
Yeah.
doing stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning when I can't see. So but yeah, it's just kind of developed over time, and we've figured out how to make it work. Got it kind of down to a science now, and so now fortunately, we've got some big partners that are pretty consistent with us that know the drill. We've had some crazy successes with this. I mean, we've had, a big Clemson site back when Clemson won their national championship, I think 2014-ish or something like that. And those guys, they made, really, really mind-blowing commissions. And the funny thing with them is we had another big win from an Ohio State affiliate a couple of years earlier. And when these Clemson guys, had their national championship coming up, they'd had some moderate successes with us, with Clemson winning the ACC and beating Notre Dame the year before. They had a Chicago Cubs site the year that the Cubs won the World Series, and so they really had the approach pretty dialed in by this point. But I got a call from the guy the day of the game, and he's like, "I only need two things from you." It's like, "Okay, what do you got?" He's like, "I need my creative packet. I need those. You need those images." I said, "Okay, those will be over to you in like 15 minutes." He's like, "Then I need a challenge. I need a number." I'm like, "What do you mean you need a number?" He's like, "What's the record? I want to beat the record." And so I told him the record. It's like 100 plus thousand in the first 30 days from this Ohio State Buckeyes site. And he's like, "I'll have that done tomorrow by 2."
Holy cow.
I was like, "I'll give you credit for having some balls, if nothing else. I mean, yeah, it's I like aggressiveness. We can work with that,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
Give me
but
that any day.
and he had doubled them up by the next day at 2, and just kept going. And so, you know,
Holy
30
cow.
days later, he's like 4.5x what the other guy had done. And he calls me up and he's like, "Yeah, would you say we killed that one?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think you could say that." And I'm like, he's like, "I want to take care of my team." I said, what do you want, man? What are you looking for?" He's like, "Those cutter and butt quarter zip, you know, shirts look pretty cool." And I was like, "How many guys on your team?" He's like, "I got 7." And these are like $115 items or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, "Okay, what size? How many?" And so he gives me the size. I pull out my purchasing card from work and I just buy them and send them out to
Nice.
him. And later I'm talking to my VP and she's like, "Yeah, what did you send this guy? Because he really crushed it." And I told her, and she's like, "If he wants anything else, let me know. I'll pull my card out." Because that was pretty impressive, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But we've been able to to do a lot of cool stuff like that. Where for me, the most fulfilling part of the job is when we can work with like a sports content site or somebody that's built a fan community over the years and hasn't really been making money with it because maybe they hadn't even thought about it. And then we're able to
Yeah.
come in there and make them some kind of really substantial chunk of change. And that can mean different things to different people. I mean, it might be a few $100, it might be 20,000. It could just
Yeah.
depends on the circumstance. And we've had situations where we had partners that got laid off, and we were able to bridge the gap for them on Christmas shopping because they were able to hit on some good sales. So it's really cool, and we can work with the content guys like that. Everybody always thinks about coupon sites and cashbacks, and that stuff's there, but it's not really, it's part of the deal, but it's not really what kind of makes things tick for me.
Well, and I feel you there. There's so many commonalities between, our history in the industry and what we really enjoy working with. I got to way back work with an affiliate who later sold his company, and we helped him build his website, helped him develop his concept, his monetization, and then later he had an exit. And it just feels great to help someone who was needing an income develop something and monetize it, and even to have an exit was pretty outstanding to see. And you build those relationships, and that individual was at my wedding, and 15 years ago, and we still use the crystal pitcher that he bought for us, and you get to help these individuals and build something real. It's fun. Now, did you, when he said, "I need a challenge," did that kind of introduce like that sort of stretch goal, challenge, contest kind of environment or a concept, a tactic to growing sales through individual partners?
Yeah, I think that's something we're starting to get more and more into because I think a lot of people look at kind of more simplistic structures where you just put out sliding scales and things like that. But I think we were actually talking with another friend of ours that managed, and she was really into doing individual stretch goals for affiliates and saying, "Hey, if you can get over this for this time period,
Yeah.
we'll this is what we'll do for you." And so I think we've been trying to focus a little bit more on building those individual relationships and kind of figure out what makes that individual tick, because I think that can be more effective than just putting out automated tiers and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
I think in a lot of cases when you put people on tiers, it doesn't necessarily encourage anything. But if
Yeah.
you can make it kind of more hands-on, and have some like kind of more achievable goals, and then ramp those up into the BHAGs, I think that
Yeah.
can make things pretty interesting. And I know that I've been starting to kind of migrate out of this, and Joe's been kind of doing more of the hands-on stuff with a lot of the bigger partners, and I know that that's something that he's been starting to go after, and I'm definitely all about that. I mean, I think it's a fun way to do business, and especially when you're working with guys that aren't corporate guys, to where it's really an individual thing where you can go to somebody and say, hey, you're making pretty good money right now, but if you could double what you're doing, whether that means you're writing twice as much content, or you're putting out some more social, or maybe you're doing some email, or whatever you can do to drive more volume, we could do something really cool. And if you could build beyond that, it could get really meaningful. And it's a lot of fun to watch that stuff work out, and to see people that are able to take things from inception where they think it's just making a couple extra bucks, to something where they're making really meaningful monthly money.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like what we all used to do back in the day. Like that was a tactic early on. You built those individual relationships, found out what incentivized them, and gave your partners goals to hit, and some fun things. Not everyone wants to hit a higher commission, but uh, a nice half zip from their championship team can go a long way too.
Or a bottle of whiskey, or a box of steaks, or I mean, there's all kinds of all kinds of stuff. It's just a matter of knowing what makes people tick, and what's going to get them to hit that stretch goal, and then just making sure that whatever the perk is, backs out with ROI goals.
Yeah. So talk to me about the team. You're now managing the affiliate marketing for Fanatics across the globe. So how is your team structured, and what has that transition been like for you?
Yeah, and this is one of the bigger personal challenges, because it's very hard for me to get my hands off things, because I've been hands-on managing the program, managing affiliate programs in general for 20 years. But now I'm realizing that there's really, I've got to step away from quite a bit of that, and
Yeah.
I still do applications, because I like having that, that kind of finger on the pulse of things. And I've always
Yeah.
been a big believer that the best place you can do quality control is at the front door of your program. And
Yep.
so that's kind of my big challenge right now, is that by the time we get another month or two into this year, I want to be totally out of the approvals business. So by all means, please hold me to that. Um, and a lot of that comes with just making sure you have to train your team to where they understand what you're looking for, um, and hopefully they do it better than you do. And so that's kind of what I've been working on now. And it's been very cool to be able to have Joe here. I mean, guy's a rock star and has been forever. And
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it was funny when I hired him in the first place. Um, he was working for another OPM. We had somebody here. We had bought a company in Chicago. They had an affiliate manager. She left. I was looking to hire somebody experienced, and I was having trouble attracting people to move down to Jacksonville. And I
Yeah.
wanted to hire Joe, and the VP that we were working with up in Chicago wanted to have this long drawn out interview process. And I was having trouble attracting anybody, because Jacksonville is not a sexy town to get people to move to for affiliate marketing. And
Yeah.
it's not Orlando, it's not Miami, if you're talking about Florida. And so I was just having a hell of a time getting people that were experienced, that could come in and make an impact, because I was replacing somebody that had been around for a couple of years, that was relative, that was pretty decent at what she did. And I had gone to my VP who hired me and said, hey, I want to hire Joe. And he's like, I think that's a hell of an idea, man. And he's like, the guy knows the program as well as anybody here, because Joe had been one of our best affiliates for 10 plus years. Actually had been offered my job previously, a couple times, I think.
Oh, wow.
But he was still doing the affiliate thing and still doing pretty well. So, he wasn't thinking about, taking the downgrade in pay at the time. And so, and then Google whacked his sites, and he ended up having to, go and do the OPM thing. But I was just having a hell of a time getting the process moved along. So I finally went and talked to my senior VP at the time, who actually had also been an affiliate, and he had been
Oh,
big
wow.
into college stores or college sites when Joe was into pro sites. And because Joe had like NFL-football-jerseys.com that was just killing it for years before we cared much about trademarks, and when having a good type in domain would work
Yep.
well. But I went to him and said, hey, I want to hire Joe, and he's like, didn't Joe do some shady stuff when he was an affiliate? And I was like, didn't you do some shady stuff when you were an affiliate? And he's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll make a call. And so the next morning I got a call from the guy in Chicago saying, okay, make the offer. And I haven't regretted it since, because you got somebody that's super competent coming from
Oh,
all that
yeah.
affiliate facing experience. And there's not a whole lot of people better in the business at teaching people how they can make money with their traffic. And so Joe's been great. It was very cool last year when I was finally able to get him um, bumped up to manager, and now he's got people reporting into him that are doing a lot of the kind of day-to-day stuff, handling the promo codes, handling creative, handling a lot of the affiliate communication, doing the operational stuff when we have products go live or hot markets. And so now it's getting to be a lot more of kind of Joe and I working together on strategy. Then he puts it into play with the team. We've got a couple folks over in the UK that are doing really good work. I've been really impressed with the crowd that we have there now. And it was funny when we acquired this company over there about 4 years ago. I went over and I kind of ran them through what we're doing here in terms of our strategy with coupons and cashback sites and how we work with content sites. And we were looking at their numbers, and they were kind of empty. When you look at them, there's a lot of a lot of coupon and cashback and a lot of pretty like minimally incremental stuff going on. And
Hmm.
so I said, hey, this, you should give this a try. I mean, this is what we've done, and we've been able to, increase the ROI pretty substantially, and the incrementality is up, and bottom line is really good. And so I went over there and presented that, and the crew that was there was all hung up on top line revenue, and promptly ignored it. And so they continued to struggle for a couple of years. And the crew that we have in there now, one of the guys that was running stuff over there left and went to work for one of our network vendors. And the people that the Emma that replaced him put our strategy into play, and it's been amazing to watch, because we knew it was going to work, because it's worked
Yeah.
here. And so
Yep.
we're not new to this, so we have a pretty good feel for what's going to go down. But they put a lot of courage out there, taking on a strategy that was kind of antithetical to what a lot of people in the organization on that side were advocating. And they've been able to turn their numbers around pretty dramatically. And so I'm pretty stoked with the team. And we've got some people that are really solid with recruiting partners. We got some people that are really solid with onboarding and taking care of the the day-to-day stuff. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching everybody come together and kind of find their lanes.
That's awesome. Now, how do you divide your tasks? Is it just everyone kind of take what needs to be done, or do you have real specific lanes for each person on the team?
It's evolved into some relatively specific lanes at this point. So I mean, we've got one person who handles a lot of working with deal sites, and handling promo code updates across all of our programs. Which we've got 40 plus programs, so just keeping promos up to date in the networks and everything is relatively, it's pretty much like a half-time job, just keeping that stuff up to speed. And then so we got one person handling that. We got one person that's handling primarily recruiting. We've got somebody that's focusing a lot on kind of following up with people, getting them started. And Joe is handling a lot of the bigger partners, the guys that are your big media players, your big blog networks and stuff like that, kind of key accounts. I still do a lot of biz dev, a lot of kind of higher level biz dev, going out and lining up, bigger media partnerships. Um, Probably looking to bring somebody on before too long here to do, kind of take that off my hands a little bit, because I definitely would like to have somebody who is full time dedicated to, just being a hunter killer all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got in the UK, the team is a lot smaller there, and so we got two people handling that. So I think it's a little bit more kind of evenly divided there. But we've got one of our guys over there seems to be pretty. He's very solid with his biz dev skills and his done well with the onboarding too. So he kind of handles more of that. Well, I think Emma does a lot more of the strategy and the numbers and kind of managing some of the big relationships as well. But it's definitely something where it's kind of figuring out what people are good with, what makes them happy and what they're effective at, and putting them in a position to be able to go out and do what they love doing every day, and it makes the whole thing work better.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, one thing you guys do really well is partnerships and recruiting and getting the most out of your affiliates. You've done some really cool stuff. So talk to me about how important recruitment is to the channel, and how do you identify new partners and bring them on board?
Yeah, recruiting's always been big for us, and a lot of with Fanatics, the cool thing here is that if we understand somebody's team affiliation, that's kind of the holy grail for us. And so the important thing for us is to always be out there looking for sources of traffic around specific teams. And so when a season starts, we'll actually work with our planning department here and try to get a feel for who they're thinking is going to be a big producer as far as team mix goes, and then taking a look at what we have for current partners, figuring out who we don't have, and then going out and trying to round those people up. We're using media rails. We have been for a few years now, to kind of manage that process and keep up to speed on the prospecting and the recruiting. We haven't automated it as much as I would like, but we've done a pretty good job of using it to source leads and then to go out and chase them down and keep track of it. We use it very heavily for the actual day-to-day operations, to where hey, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just won the Super Bowl. Who do we know? Who's in our system that cares about the Buccaneers, and being able to communicate with those partners effectively. And that's been really big for us. I mean, and we started to play around a couple of years ago, just to try to see, what the value is of all this, chasing games and chasing results and hitting people up with offers after games go final. And we started playing with media rails and their campaign tracking to say, hey, if after a college bowl game, even if it's not a big bowl game, it doesn't have to always be, the national championship or whatever. It could be, a smaller bowl game, but it's like, what's the value revenue wise if we go out and hit up these partners that care about this school and they hit their people. And what we found is that hey, it might take us 10 or 15 minutes to crank out an email, but maybe the average production from that, maybe the bottom end was $2,500. Well, 15 minutes for $2,500, that's not bad.
It's a good return.
Yeah. And so so I started thinking about it. It's like, well, hey, if we every day there's probably 5 or 6 opportunities across all of sports at least, where if we were in contact with the right group of affiliates with the right messaging, the right product, every day you could be hitting some of these wins. And if you stack up a bunch of $2,500 to $5,000 to $10,000 wins, and some of them are a lot bigger than that, every day, I mean, that turns into a pretty solid incremental lift on your program. And so that's really what we've been kind of going after, is trying to making sure that we're leveraging the technology, having good CRM in place so that we know who we need to talk to about every little different opportunity that comes up. Maybe it's a Jordan shoe launch, maybe it's a new Kobe jersey that's coming out that's a $400 jersey or something. Who are the guys that care about that, and who do we work with to reach them? And we've identified some pretty awesome players, and now as far as partners, and now we've gotten to the point where in the last year or so we've really started to migrate a lot of people that we are big media sites that we traditionally had worked with as like co-branded site partners, where we actually operated a store that was co-branded with, say, SB Nation or something like that, as an example. And we wanted to get out of that business. We wanted to, it seemed like it should be a straight affiliate deal. So it's like, well, what if we put these guys on our tech stack and put them with our account management skills, and with Joe and my making money online skills, and what happens if we do that? And we've been able to have some killer wins. And so it's fun now that like the biz dev group at the company, when somebody approaches them, where in the past they would have gone out and said, hey, we should build a store for these guys, and which ends up being kind of a pain, because then you've got another iteration of the site that you have to maintain.
Yeah. You have to
And
maintain, yeah.
our business is really tricky because I mean there could be different situations where product might not be authorized to appear on all these different sites because if a network doesn't
Yeah.
have broadcast rights, the NFL doesn't want you selling NFL sideline gear on those sites. And so we've been able to simplify a lot of things, and we've actually been able to up the revenue because we were able to put them on a better tech stack and get them better account management, and to do some pretty cool stuff. And so it's been really interesting to watch the scale of partners that we're working with now when it used to be a lot of mom and pops and a smattering
Yeah.
of media sites, and now we're starting to get some really big media sites. And now that as the brand for Fanatics continues to improve, and as we've got these bigger brands like NFL Shop and NBA Store and MLB Shop, um, it's not nearly as challenging bringing these guys on for affiliate style partnerships as it was in the past, and
You got a
that's
lot of
amazing.
brand gravitas behind you now.
Yeah, and so it's been a lot of fun to see that develop and get to the point where if now it's more a matter of during the prospecting and recruiting process, just making sure that you're getting in front of the right person, because your standard line level sales guy at a newspaper might not be able to do that deal, but if you can get with the digital director or digital VP, a lot of those guys are able to make that deal. And I think social proof goes a long way as well, because now we can point
Yeah.
to other big media partners and say, hey, if it worked for the Chicago Tribune, I think it might work for you in Omaha or Spokane or whatever. And so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
opens a
Yeah.
lot of doors.
That's fantastic. Now I know we're close to time. I have one more question. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, so hopefully you're okay with coming back on in a month or so. The last question is you guys went through replatforming. So was that a difficult decision to make? How did you go about creating uh, the argument for a platform switch and then getting everyone on board? And how'd you make the decision?
That was actually interesting because we're with Impact Radius now, and we have been now coming up. I think it's coming up on 2 years when we first started onboarding with them. And we had been with ShareASale. We'd been on a bunch of networks and platforms. We'd been exclusive to ShareASale for a few years, and we were pretty happy with that situation because I mean Brian was a great partner. The team there was amazing. We've never had a better customer support relationship than we had with those guys, because I mean we could be on Slack with Brian at 11 o'clock, saying, hey, it'd be really cool
Yeah.
if the
Yeah.
product could do this, and then a couple weeks later he'd be like, hey, check this out, it does that. And we were like,
Yeah.
wow. Or we'd get a call saying, hey, I don't think you guys allow this kind of stuff to go on, so I took care of this guy for you. And so it's pretty mind blowing. And so honestly, we were so happy in that relationship that we weren't even looking around, and we had the guys from Impact and Partnerize and a bunch of the other big networks that were
Yep.
chasing us for a long time, and we had just blown people off and blown people off. And then, once Brian took his earn out, once we started to see, things changing a little bit with ShareASale, we started to open up our minds a little bit and have a listen to what everybody was up to. I got a chance to go and hit the Rakuten event in Brooklyn. I went out to CJU and got some time with their CEO and saw what they were up to. We talked with the guys from Partnerize, talked with Impact, and once we were able to finally dive into what the different technologies are bringing to the table and what the cost structures look like, the decision pretty much made itself. And it was funny because I think Joe was one of the biggest ShareASale loyalists known to man, and I knew that the time
Yeah.
was right when he finally came to me and said, like, you're meeting with Impact at Summit, right? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, we'll do the deal, it's time.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
up until that point, he had been, very fiercely protective of the ShareASale relationship, which was cool because I mean, we
Yeah.
had a good deal and we had great support. And so moving away from that, even though we were a very big fish on a relatively small pond, made a hell of a lot of sense. Because we wouldn't have been taken care of as well with a bigger network. There's just no
Yeah.
way, because you're just another internet retailer top 50 with
Yeah.
among 25 or 30 if you go with one of those other platforms. But in the end, it actually ended up being a big cost savings for us, and just by virtue of a different deal structure, we were able to put together a pretty big win in terms of both technology and in terms of having a better price setup. So it hasn't been easy. I mean, I mean, platform changes are always a huge pain in the ass, and I think we finally finished the migration at the end of December. because we
wow.
was a little bit slower than I wanted it to be, and with a few of the programs. And so I said, you know what, I'm not going to turn over the truck here in Q4. I just can't do that. And so we kind
Yeah,
of let
yeah.
things play out. If people wanted to move over, we moved them. But if they didn't, we just let it play out. And then at the end of December, we said, look, okay, we're turning everything off. So we're finally off of, we're exclusive on Impact now for the 99% of what we're doing. And the other, the last program will close out probably the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's what we always recommend. You can run those two concurrently, and you give people time. Give them time to make the switch when they feel it's right. Well, Wade, this has been outstanding. I think our listeners are going to enjoy just a real deep dive into so much today. And with you guys have run such a vibrant and award-winning program. It's great to have you on the show and just listen to all the things that you guys are doing. So I thank you so much for being on the show today, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, if anyone wants to join the Fanatics program or they want to ask you more about some of the topics that we discussed today, what's the best way for them to either follow or get a hold of you or join the program?
Yeah, they can find us. You can follow the links back off the site. You can find us in the Impact Marketplace, or you can hit us up. Just partners@fanatics.com.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Wade.
All right. Thanks, Jamie.
Wow, what an hour. Wade, thank you so much for joining me today. And to our audience, there was a whole lot there. How to communicate with affiliates, how to manage your media partners and your key players during these key events. And I love the story how this past Black Friday, that period of time, those 3-4 days, they did as much as the first year that Wade was there. Congrats, Wade. You're a phenomenal leader over there. Do great things with that program. It's a program that if you're in affiliate marketing, you need to be following so you can watch and learn from what Wade and Joe and their team are doing. And we're actually going to have Joe on the podcast in just about a month. So you'll hear even more of this stuff. We'll be able to dive into some of the things I wasn't able to with Wade. One of the things I wanted to highlight for our listeners is how they do affiliate recruiting. So they look at the audience first. Where are those audiences happening? And those audiences are coalescing around teams. That's their target market. But they're also coalescing around the success of these individual teams. So they go out and they find those fan sites, those content developers, whether through tools like Media Rails, or they just go out and find it. And then they start to cultivate those relationships. In a space like that, that relationship has to be, paramount to everything. As sometimes these events make all their money within 12 hours of an event happening. So it's super big. I also really enjoyed how they divide their team up in the tasks. And Wade's look at leadership is, find those, the things that people are good at and put them there. It goes back to, I think about what many of my coaches have always told me. You get the right people in the right seats on the bus, and that's where you have a lot of success. So lots of really good stuff in here. If you've made a platform change, definitely go back, or you're thinking of making a platform change, go back and listen to that section. But want to highlight our newsletter sign up. The link will be in the podcast description. So go sign up for the newsletter so you can stay up to date with everything JEBCommerce and the affiliate space. And if you need any help, you can email us at gethelp@jebcommerce.com, or you can go to calendly.com/Jamie Birch. And you can set up 15 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour of my time. I've made certain parts of my week available to you to help you with any of your affiliate needs. So if you want to figure out, man, how do I maximize my ROI this year? How do I get new affiliates into the program? How do I do some of the things that Wade and I talked about today? You can definitely reach me there. Now, if you do want to sign up for the Fanatics affiliate program, or follow what they're doing over there, you can find them in the Impact Marketplace. You can go to fanatics.com and follow the links there for the affiliate program. You can email them at partners@fanatics.com. And that's partners@fanatics.com. So if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review, whether that's an Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or any other podcast player. Please give us a 5-star recommendation. It goes a long way to helping others find our podcast, and share it. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social platform that you tend to use. We would love to see that and to hear from you. And if you'd like to be a guest, you can also email me at gethelp@JEBCommerce.com. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this time. And Wade, thank you for spending a little over an hour with me today.